Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I am finally getting around to posting my postpartum freezer meal prep type video. I knew that I wanted to do this with my second baby after I had Anastasia because, again, this is something that I saw people doing while I was pregnant with my last baby, and to me I just didn't know if it was worth it or not. And now that I have had a baby and we're gonna be having a toddler and a newborn, I feel like this is something that is so worth it. In today's video, I will be showing you guys how I made 4 different freezer meals. And these 4 meals, one of them is just something that I threw together myself, but it's not anything, you know, revolutionary or anything like that. It's just like some kind of pasta dish. The next 3 that I'm going to show you are ideas that I got from Pinterest, and one of them is like a Pinterest idea, but I also kind of like changed a bunch of things in it to make it my own. I'm going to be showing you guys how I make a chicken broccoli Alfredo bake, a Philly cheesesteak casserole type thing, a creamy chicken casserole, and a like cheesy zucchini ground chicken type casserole bake. So these are all like casserole bake type dishes, and the reason that I love these is because you can add as many vegetables as you want to them, and they like, you can tweak the ingredients to make it as healthy as you want or make it as like hearty and filling as you want. But I like to keep it as like balanced and healthy as possible, but all of these meals are extremely filling and extremely like delicious. And the great thing about this is that this gives us leftovers as well. So each of these casseroles or bakes that I made is enough for, like, we have, both of us have one dinner and then we're able to have leftovers with it as well. So it technically makes 4 servings, which is awesome. And everything that I got was around $80. To be honest, I didn't really tally it up, but I gave myself a budget of about $80 with all the ingredients and the things that I use. That's what it came out to be. And I went shopping at Aldi and Walmart. I was able to make 4 dishes with it. That will technically make 8 dinners if that math is correct. I just want to say real quick too, before I just go ahead and jump in and show you guys everything that I did to make these meals, that I am not a chef. I probably don't chop correctly. I probably make things ways that people don't agree with or think is right or whatever. Like, I am not a cook or a chef by any means. I have just started having an interest in cooking over the past like year or so. Everything that I'm doing is just like very mediocre, but the good part about that is that it's really simple for other people to do as well. So that's the good news. And then on top of that, this whole thing, like prepping all of these meals from start to finish, took me about 2 hours. And there were several times during these 2 hours where I noticed that my camera wasn't filming and I thought it was. So if there seems like there's like a gap or you don't understand like what I did while I was cooking, just go ahead and leave me a comment down below and I'll try and answer that question. But I will be putting all the recipes that I used for this in the link in the description box down below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this cooking video. Okay, so here is a quick look at pretty much all of the ingredients you will need. There's a couple of things that I forgot to put on the counter when I was doing this shot here, like a bag of broccoli and some seasonings, just like little things like that. But for the most part, this is everything that you're gonna need to do all of your recipes. So the first recipe that I am doing is going to be the chicken and broccoli Alfredo bake, and this one is pretty straightforward. All you really need is pasta, chicken, Alfredo. I put a little bit of spinach in there, mushrooms, and frozen broccoli, and also some shredded cheese, and that is basically everything I used. And something that I tried to do while I was cooking was, while I had one recipe in progress, I was prepping things for the next one. So what I'm doing here is just chopping vegetables for the next meal that I'm going to be making. So while I am chopping my vegetables, I am just bringing a pot of water to a boil, and then I'm going to spray this just medium-sized skillet to put my chicken in. And then once my water is boiling, I'm going to add my pasta, and the pasta that I use is just, I think it's the Barilla brand protein pasta, but you can use whatever kind you like. And then I'm just going to add some Tyson frozen grilled and ready chicken to my skillet, and then pop the frozen broccoli into the microwave and get that cooking. So everything is kind of going at the same time, so my goal was to have everything done at the same time. And I didn't get a shot of this, but I actually did add some mushrooms to the chicken skillet as well. So I was sauteing the chicken and the mushrooms together. So while I was doing that, I just drained my pasta out. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is just add my cooked broccoli to the pasta pot that I was using, and this is before I added the pasta back into it. The pasta is still in the strainer in the sink, and I'm just chopping up the broccoli really small, and I added some butter to it, and then I'm gonna add the pasta back on top, and after that I'm gonna add in my chicken and mushroom combination. And then I'll be adding the Alfredo, and I just like to use light Alfredo. There's a couple different brands that make light Alfredo, but I just used, I think, 2.5 jars. So I'll be adding 2.5 jars of the light Alfredo. I put some spinach in there, and then I'm just gonna mix all of this up and put it into my pan, and then sprinkle it with some shredded cheese on top, and that's basically it. One thing that I did forget to do with every single recipe that I made was to spray the pan before I added the food into it. So if you guys can remember to, try and spray your pans before you add your food. I'm hoping that this doesn't stick to the pan after I bake it, but if it does, it's probably not going to be a big deal. It'll just be a thin layer that sticks to it. But that is basically it for this chicken and broccoli Alfredo bake. Just write it off like a prescription. So next up is going to be this cheesy zucchini casserole bake type thing. And the first thing that I'm doing is just spraying a pan, and I'm going to brown up some ground chicken. And the recipe that I found actually calls for ground turkey, but you can use any kind of protein that you like, and this will work just fine with that. So that's the first thing that I'm doing here. And then again, going back and chopping up some more vegetables for the next recipe that I will be making, which is going to be the creamy chicken casserole. But again, I just wanted to utilize my time as much as possible and get this done quickly and efficiently. So I like to use the time that things were cooking to prep for the next meal. So now that my ground chicken is almost done browning up, I'm going to go ahead and add my vegetables to it. And this is just 2 zucchinis, and I believe it was half of a yellow onion. But the great thing about a lot of these recipes is that you can really beef them up with as many vegetables as you want, and they still taste just as good. So if you're not a huge vegetable person, you can kind of like chill out a little bit on the vegetables, but if you love like a bunch of different varieties of vegetables, you can add basically anything and it still tastes amazing. So I'm just seasoning it up, and then I'm going to saute it for a few minutes. So while that is sauteing for a few minutes, I'm just going to pop in my rice for this recipe, and I'm just using the Uncle Ben's brown ready rice, but you can use whatever kind you like. I know some people prefer to make it stovetop, and that's totally fine too. So while that is cooking, I am opening up my can of diced tomatoes, and this is just 1 can of diced tomatoes. I got the basil and oregano flavored one from Aldi. And I'm going to add that to my pan as well and mix it all up, and then let that saute again for another couple minutes until my rice is ready. And then I'm going to go over into my baking dish and add everything together and put a little bit of butter on top for the rice to make it a little more tasty. And just mix everything up, and then I'm gonna add in some cheese. And I know it sounds weird, but I'm adding pizza blend cheese. It just sounded good. But again, you can add whatever kind of cheese you want and mix it up. And this is actually gonna be mixed into the casserole as well. And then afterwards, you're gonna sprinkle some more cheese on top. Okay, so I know that I said earlier the next recipe that I was making was going to be a creamy chicken casserole, but that's actually the last recipe. This recipe is going to be a Philly cheesesteak casserole, and the only thing I'm doing here is just spraying my pan, adding some garlic, and then I'm gonna add in a chopped up green pepper, orange pepper, and a full white onion. So now that the first round of chopped up vegetables has had a little bit of a head start as far as cooking goes, I'm going to add in some mushrooms as well. And again, this is all to taste. I think I added like half a package of mushrooms, and that was perfect for this. Now I am just going to start another pan up, and I'm going to be using just ground sirloin. Again, you can use whatever protein you like. If you want to change it up and use chicken or just regular ground beef, you can totally do that too. So I just seasoned the protein to my taste, and then I also added a little bit of steak sauce to this to give it more of that Philly cheesesteak type taste. And then once my protein was pretty much almost done being cooked, I combined it with the vegetables. So the next step is just adding a can of cream of mushroom, and I got the Light and Fit brand from Aldi, but you can totally use a just regular Campbell's can of cream of mushroom, and that'll probably work just fine as well. But I'm just going to add this to the skillet as well and then mix everything up. And then once everything is combined really well, I'm going to go over to my baking dish and add this into the baking dish, and then just top it with some Italian style cheese. And like I've said a million times before, you guys can really customize these recipes as much as you want. You can add different kinds of vegetables, different kinds of proteins, different kinds of cheese. You can make it however you want. But this is just what I did. And I actually found the idea for this recipe on Pinterest, and I was looking for a low carb type Philly cheesesteak dinner. And all of the casseroles that I came across had like eggs as a base, and I tried that out and they were fine, but I decided to tweak it a little bit and make it my own and use the cream of mushroom, and this turned out so good. This meal is so yummy and so filling and pretty healthy as well. Okay, so this last recipe is the creamy chicken casserole, and we're starting again from the beginning by just spraying our pan, and then I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of butter to this, and then we're just gonna fry up some chicken. And I'll try not to blabber on too long because this recipe kind of is a labor of love. There's a lot of steps to it, but once you've made it a couple times, it's really easy. But I'm basically just frying up some chicken, and we're going to be adding some vegetables, some light sour cream, some milk, and cream of chicken, and it's all going to come together to be a really, really yummy and delicious casserole. And I feel like I have showed this in a vlog or maybe on my Instagram or something like that, but this has definitely become a family favorite. It's super yummy, and I actually found this recipe on Pinterest, and it was a little more hearty, but I found ways to lighten it up by using light sour cream, the Fit and Active brand of cream of mushroom, lighter milk, just things like that to make it a little bit on the healthier side. So after the chicken is done cooking, I usually cook it for about 5 minutes or so on each side. You're just going to set it to the side, and then you're going to add your vegetables to the same pan and saute those for a little bit while your chicken is cooling off. So once your veggies are cooked long enough to where they are translucent, you're going to add in some light sour cream, some milk, and cream of chicken, and you're just going to combine this really well. And I usually let this simmer for about maybe 1 to 2 minutes. So while that is simmering for a couple minutes, you're going to go over to your chicken, which should be cooled off at this point, and you're just going to roughly chop it up into bite-sized pieces. So we're almost done with this recipe. All you need to do is just combine everything into your baking dish, and then last but not least, you're gonna make this delicious topping for this, and it's just gonna be a combination of about 4 melted tablespoons of butter and a whole sleeve of crushed up Ritz crackers, and I use the whole wheat kind just to be a little bit on the healthier side. And then you're just gonna add cheese to it as well. And again, I don't have exact measurements because I make this quite often, but everything will be in the description box below because I know that I didn't say exact measurements for everything or times or heat or anything like that. So if you're somebody that needs step-by-step directions, don't worry, I will provide all of these recipes in the description box. But after you combine all of that together, you're just gonna crumble this on top of your casserole, and that is it. So those are all of the meals that I made to prep for postpartum life as soon as we come home from the hospital. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you found it useful, even if you're not someone that's about to have a baby or anything like that and you just want to find a better way to prep meals for you or your family. Hopefully this helped you guys out and gave you guys some ideas. So if you guys did like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.